Okay, Tomo, I added it all up.
Okay, so much.
Well, first of all, let me just say that I love you. How about you guess?
Same price as 4Runner.
We might have spent a little bit more on parts than we did on the 4Runner. Guess, just throw a number out there.
Wait, how much was this 4Runner?
We paid a little less than $9,000 for the 4Runner. Alright, so I wanted to do a follow-up to my previous video of the just kind of walk around of this. I realized I had left a few things off, and I also thought it might be interesting information for you guys to see prices and basically know how much this whole thing cost me. So to start off with, I purchased a 4Runner about a year ago. This is a 2005. At the time it had 198,000 miles on it, and I would say that it was in fair condition. It definitely has quite a few bumps and scrapes. The paint's not in fantastic condition. The front bumper was basically falling off.
Yabba.
And I paid $6,850 for this. After tax tag and title, it came to $8,675. One of the most attractive things for me with this vehicle was the fact that it had a complete service history, and that's, if you go on the Toyota owner's website, you can basically type in the VIN number and look at the complete service history of any vehicle. And this had been serviced every 5,000 miles. It had just had a bunch of maintenance items done, like a new water pump, new radiator. It had just gotten a brand new set of calipers in the front because they were seized, which is a big problem with these, as well as like a complete brake job all the way around outside of that. Then after that, I started buying stuff for it, as one does with these. So I'm breaking this down into three categories. The first one is everything that I bought new and paid full price for. So we'll kick things off. The first thing that I purchased was the Fox 2.0s. So again, the coilovers in the front, as well as the shocks in the rear. So those cost me $1,277 brand new. I got them from Shock Surplus. They were on sale at the time. I think regularly they're somewhere around like $1,400. And kind of along with that, I ordered this from Shock Surplus as well, was the Ibach Roy rear coils. So those were $225. I also replaced all the sway bar end links, so that's the rear as well as the front. Right there. And those cost me $315 from Toyota. I went OEM with those. I have used Super Pro in the past, as well as a few other adjustable sway bar end links, and just haven't had good luck with them, so decided to stick with OEM. Also picked up the new bushings. Those were $19. The next thing on the list was the headlights. Again, these are an Amazon special. Paid $150 for these. And then the Heritage Grille. This was $225. Then came the big purchase, which was the bumper. This was $1,300. There are different options, like I could have got dual fog lights, and I also could have got it powder coated there, but I didn't. So this was just the bare steel, only the one cut out for fog lamps for $1,300. The next new thing on the list was the Vice Designs winch box relocation kit. So it's basically just extended wiring that allows you to move the control box from the top of the winch. As you can see, there's just not quite enough room up there for the control box to relocate it under the hood. So that was $149, and basically just consists of some extended cable and then a bracket for you to be able to remount this. The bracket did not quite work. It was originally supposed to be mounted on that side by the battery. It wasn't designed for this 4Runner. It was designed for a 5th gen 4Runner. So so ended up just hard mounting it to the top of the wheel well here. Along with that, the Silver Rhino Media washer relocation kit. If you own a 4th gen and if you've ever been underneath the fender liner, you know that the washer tank actually sits right here in this square, and it hangs down quite a bit and is pretty ugly. So once you get the high clearance bumpers, you can see it. It's in the way for damage. So putting it under the hood was a good idea. That one cost me $42. My next purchase was the Falcon Wild Peaks. These are the AT3Ws, and they're in the standard load rating. I paid $900 for these. They were $225 a tire. I think they've since gone up to like $275 a tire. So they went from being kind of a budget-friendly tire to maybe not the most budget-friendly. Discount Tire also offers a military discount that I think is like 10 or 15%. So overall, $900 for these, not a bad price. And of course there's the snorkel. This is the Dobinson's. I like it because it's actually made to fit a 4th gen 4Runner. I know that there's some eBay ones that are made for a Land Cruiser that you can kind of retrofit on there, but I went with this and I paid a little bit for it. It was $365 for the kit. I also purchased the Asphere skid plate, the aluminum skid plate. This was $320, shipping included. So great deal on this. Very stoked on it. I have an install video. If you guys are interested, you can check that out. Next up was the head unit. So this is a Kenmore, not exactly sure the model number, but it's nothing special. It just has Apple CarPlay, and then it works with my steering wheel buttons. That was the only thing I cared about. This was $250. I also purchased the Husky liners. I have them on the front on both sides as well as in the rear back here. I think these are a must-have if you live in a rainy place or if you are in the mud often. They are a little pricier. I don't think that they're as much as the WeatherTechs, but these were $160 for front and rear. And then my most recent purchase were the Arc splash guards. These were $117. And that's everything that I bought new and paid full price for this. My next category is going to be things that I purchased that were new but open box. If you've seen this on Amazon before, a lot of times they have other ways to buy, and really it's just open box items that people purchased and then returned. So I got really lucky. I got the Factor 55. The Flat Link Expert is this part of it, and I paid $115 for that. And then I got the Fairlead was $67. Also along with that, another Amazon purchase were the Baja designs. Again, these are the Squadron Sports. I think they normally retail for close to $300, and I paid $209 for these. The last open box item that I purchased were the SPC upper control arms. I don't remember what website I purchased these off of, but it was a authorized Dobinson dealer, and I just was in their clearance section, their clearance page, and ran across these. I paid $455 for these. Now that'll take me into the bought off Craigslist, OfferUp, or eBay section. So the first thing off the list were the Gen 5s, the Stealth Custom Series Gen 5s. This was probably the biggest score of all. I found someone who he had ordered 2 different sets. He got the F5s and he got the Gen 5s, and then ended up using the F5s and was just trying to get rid of these. And I threw out an offer for $900. They were brand new in the box, and he took it. So $900 for these, and they were, like I said, brand new in the box, hadn't even been opened. So pretty happy with that deal. Also, I got the Warren VR10 winch. So 10,000 pound winch. This did not come with the synthetic cable. I added that later. And this was mounted to one of those like receiver hitch mounts, and very dusty, very dirty, but underneath it was a brand new winch that some old man had used to pull a stump out once and then put it in his garage and never used it again. I offered him $300 for this, and he took it. Pretty happy with that deal as well. And then my exhaust. So this is the 5th gen, just standard exhaust. If you've seen the 4th gen exhaust before, you know it has the big resonator on it. Most of them are pretty ugly. This one doesn't sound any different. I'm sure it doesn't perform any better, but I ended up putting this on there. It was $50. Ultimately, I just thought it looked better, so pretty happy with that as well. And then we'll toss in the pack of sport just for good measure. This was $150. If you look these up online, these are insanely expensive. I think they're like $1,600 brand new for this specific model. They paint match them and they're carpet lined, all kinds of great stuff. This one is relatively old. It was sitting for a long time. It wasn't in fantastic shape when I picked it up. It needed new struts, but all the locking mechanisms work. It was all there. There's no cracks. These things are made out of fiberglass, so they last for forever. I paid $150 for it, which I think is just an absolute steal. Pretty stoked on that. And then I had a couple of random pieces that I need. I ran across a guy on OfferUp who was parting out one of these, and mine was missing the engine cover, so I bought the engine cover off of him for $20. I needed the overhead console. Someone who owned this previously just decided to go a little ham with some spray paint, so this had been spray painted silver. So luckily enough, his interior was tan, so I was able to get that from him. I also needed some interior trim, so a bunch of these plastics were cracked on mine. This was also something that they had decided to spray paint, so this was spray painted. These pieces down here were spray painted. So I ended up grabbing a bunch of that stuff off of him. The overhead console he gave to me for free. All the center console trim was $80. I also bought from him the passenger side air vent. Mine was broken, so we ended up replacing that. He sold me that for $50. And then the last thing that I got from him was a door check. So on this side, the door check was just completely snapped off. I ended up buying that from him for $15. The next category are services that I paid for. So things that I couldn't do myself or didn't have the time or wasn't able to, didn't know how, things like that. The first thing was new windshield. So the windshield on this was pretty thoroughly used. So new windshield installed was $379. There's a place in Bellevue, Washington called Eastlake Auto Glass. They're the best. Couldn't recommend them enough. Huge shout out for me. If you need glass, go there. Also, along with the theme of windows, was the window tint. So it had all the factory tint in the rear, which was in good shape. And I just went to a place and had them match the tint on the front. I recently looked it up. I got a question about this. This is 25% tint. I'm not exactly sure what the factory is, but I know that they just used their measuring device to see what the back was and then kind of paired up the front. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Honestly, the front might be a tiny bit darker, but I still think it looks pretty good. That was $189. I had the tires mounted and balanced, obviously. That was $88. The front bumper, as I mentioned earlier, I had it shipped as raw steel. The reason I did that is because I wanted a powder coat that was a little glossier. I didn't want the flat black, and I also didn't want the textured black. To me, they always just looked like faded and old after a short period of time. So I wanted something that was just a little bit glossier. So this is like the 40% black, I think is the what they called it when I ordered it. That was not super cheap. Let's see, I paid $473 for that powder coating. This is also a marine grade powder coating, so hopefully a little more rust proof in the future. Yeah, pretty happy with that. I got my alignment from Toyota. Probably overpaid for it a bit, but it was $149. I think you get it at like Pep Boys for like $100 or whatever, but pretty happy with the alignment. They were able to do a good job, and because of that, I have very minimal rubbing. I do rub on full lock, but not horribly, so pretty happy with the alignment. Also from Toyota, I had an AC compressor replaced, and they rebuilt some of the lines. It was not cheap. That was $1,815. Probably the most expensive thing that I've done to this vehicle. Hopefully the most expensive that I'll do for the life of it is what I'm hoping for, knock on wood. But again, I just never really messed around with the AC compressor. I didn't know how to evacuate the system. I didn't know how to get it recharged. Just really didn't feel comfortable doing it, so had them do it for me and paid for it. The last thing, the oil changes. I've had all of the oil changes done at Toyota. I know I'm probably going to get mocked in the comments for this, but this I'll show you guys in a future video, but this vehicle has had every single oil change done, and I just thought that was such a cool thing. Like, somebody loved this vehicle. They never deferred maintenance. Everything that it needed, they did to it. And so I kind of just wanted to keep it going. So I pay $125 for my oil changes, which is ridiculous, but I just like the idea of taking it to the same dealership that it was sold at and has been serviced its entire life at. So keeping it going just for, I don't know, just for the bit, I guess. And then that leads to the last category, which is services that I perform. So the only time this thing has ever left me stranded, the alternator went out, and I had a pretty good heads up that it was happening. I just didn't really know what to look for. The alternator started making a pretty loud whining noise, and it did that for like 2 days, and I just kept driving on it. And yeah, eventually it stopped in traffic and wouldn't go again. So I bought the alternator from Toyota. It was $403 for the alternator, but I installed that myself. Also from Toyota, I purchased a brand new fuel pump. I have a video about some vibration issues I was experiencing, and I thought that I was having a little bit of a stutter and thought it was fuel related. Ended up replacing the fuel pump unnecessarily, and that was $567. But you know, whatever, live and learn. I also redid the U-joints, again, trying to chase down that vibration. That was $103. Just as part of a tune-up, I got new spark plugs. I paid $19 for the spark plugs. New coils from Toyota were $295. A new belt from Toyota was $45. I drained and refilled the transmission fluid. That was $115. I flushed out the power steering. Power steering fluid was $20. Yeah, I work out of a place, I'm sorry, I don't work there, but when I do my services or when I installed the lift, all those things, I go to a place called Stu's Self-Service Garage that's here in, it's in Kirkland, Washington. It's one of those like rent-a-bay places. They charge $50 per hour for the bay rental, and I get a little bit of a military discount, so it's like $40 an hour. I'm estimating that I've spent maybe like 15 or 17 hours of shop time, so that's somewhere around like $750 to $950 in the shop. So now for the grand total. So in parts and services, according to my calculations, don't double check me, but I think I have $12,735. And then if we add that to the original purchase price of the vehicle, this was $21,410. So obviously not super cheap, but you know, the state that the vehicle's in and how much work that I've done to it, I'm very, very happy with it. I think it was money well spent. I used to have a 2016 4Runner that was built up a bit, and just the purchase price of the vehicle alone was significantly more than I paid to have this already built out. I've also had a 2016 Tacoma TRD off-road, and again, you know, tens of thousands of dollars more just in the purchase price of the vehicle before you get to do all of this stuff. So, you know, not cheap, but not too expensive for what you get. Overall, I'm very, very happy with the build itself, and would recommend doing it again. If you're on the fence of should I buy a brand new vehicle or should I buy something with some miles on it, I really don't think you can go wrong as long as you take your time choosing the right vehicle. So yeah, if you guys have any thoughts or questions, leave them in the comments below. If there's anything else you guys would like to see or anything I left off, by all means, please reach out and I'll try to get those questions answered for you. Thanks.